All this eye candy that we drive by every day. Have you ever wondered about the history of these locations? Have you ever wondered about the history of your own home? Do you know the history of your own home? Or it could be your house. It could be your parents' home. It could even be your grandparents' house. The question is, do you know the actual history? Have you looked for clues left behind? Please join me tonight as I share my journey of discovery about my own home and tools to discover your home's history. So grab your beverage of choice and sit back and enjoy the show that will begin in approximately 1 minute. Hi, everybody. I am trying to follow along with my phone, and all of a sudden it's not wanting to do that. So let me go into comments because everything's a little different on StreamYard than it used to be. So welcome, David Alfonsetti Art, Cynthia Swearingen, my moderator, Dave Lee. Welcome, Dave. I think I've seen Dave Lee's name maybe on Facebook. I'm not sure. I've seen it somewhere. Welcome to Digging with Deej in my live stream. Let's see. 6 in my house so far. Let me try to bring up my phone because it's easier for me to follow the live stream on my phone. The chat anyway. It's not wanting to though. So Dave says I am around. So tonight we're going to talk about researching the history surrounding your own home, or maybe your parents' house, or grandparents' house. When I bought this house, I had been metal detecting maybe a month or a year, maybe a year. I think Rich and I've been detecting with Richard for a year, I think, at that point. And I was just learning. And the house I bought, according to the realtor's information was built late 1950s to 1960s, somewhere in there. So it's a small older home. Okay. It's got a poured basement wall for part of it and then a block wall for another part. It's almost like they added on to the basement later on in that. Let me look at my notes. You guys know me. I have to do notes. So my first summer at this house, I decided I was going to have a garden. So I started digging up, digging the area where I wanted the garden plot. And when I say, in my intro, I said, have you looked for clues? Let me try to find them. Where are they? These are the clues that led me to start researching the history of my house. So I was digging up the dirt, trying to make a garden space. And I dug a bullet, but it's white. It's a white lead bullet. Piece of white china. A piece of aqua blue mason jar rim, where the lid would have screwed on. It's aqua. A small square nail. And a shard of ironstone pottery. That. And each time I pulled something out, I kept thinking, wow, this is older than 1950 house. This stuff is older than a 1950 house. What is this stuff doing here? So that made me decide I wanted to research a little bit more. Put these back in here because I've saved these for a long time. So let's see. I guess I'm not going to be able to follow with my phone. My phone is not keeping up. That's weird. It's not letting me watch the chat. Yeah, my phone's saying there's 2 people watching, and the computer says there's 8 people watching. So if I haven't seen you in the chat, don't be offended. I'm just getting back into the swing of live streaming again. Please don't be afraid to say hi in the chat. So those are all clues that something happened on my property way, way, way back when, 1800s. So, I found some curious items that suggested my property might be older than it appeared. So I went to the library and researched, finding 2 or 3 different era maps. So then I had my library. These are old. I need to redo these. So I printed out maps for townships. Hi, Jeremy, finding Alabama in my house. And then I put them in these sleeves, and I've got them for all these different townships in my county and that. So then I carry these around in my car. And when I see something that I think might be the remnants of a ruins, or maybe there used to be a house in that field because the ground just has a certain shape, and then I look on the map, yep, there used to be a house there, So I found like 3 different eras of maps for my location. One was an 1872 map, one was an 1896, and one was in 1908. Hi, Mud Swat. Mud Swat in my house. Hi. So, yeah, it has been a while. So, I started looking at the location where my house should have been on that map and discovered that there was a house there way 1870s. So then I wrote down the names, and then at that time my library had Ancestry, library edition, ancestry.com, and I started researching the family history of that person whose name was on the parcel of property that I own now. And I had discovered that it was a couple that bought it before the Civil War, and her husband was either injured or killed the Civil War. I have never been able to figure out completely. He's never shown up on any census record except before the Civil War. So, but then they didn't have any children. So she lived here for years and years and years. And I'm thinking, this house is not that old inside. It was weird. So anyhow, I get all this research and I'm printing all this stuff out at the library, and I decided I've got enough. Let me go through what I got. And I took all my papers, and I went to the cafe in town and sat down and got some breakfast, and I'm sitting there going over all my research and that, trying to figure out stuff out. And a friend of my family's comes up, and he's in his early to mid 90s, lived in that town his whole life, grew up in that town, and said to me, well, what are you doing? You look like you got a lot of work there. And I said, well, I just bought this house about a year ago, and I was doing a garden, and the realtor told me the house was built in late 1950s, early 1960s. But I'm finding stuff when I made my garden, I'm finding stuff in the backyard that suggests it's older. And that. And he goes, well, no, your house was built in the 1950, late 1950s, early 1960s. He says, yes, it was. Your house and the house next door to you house was built by two brothers that were electricians. I said, oh, really? He said, yeah. But he said, when I was a little boy, hi, Bonnie, whispers in the dirt in my house. He said, when I was a little boy, I remember riding my bike. All of us kids rode our bike down the end of the street to your property because a whole bunch of farmers were there with their tractors, and they were going to pull the old house down the hill, burn it, and bury it. I said, oh, really? He said, yeah. Your house was built on top of an old foundation, old basement. And that. He said the house was dragged down the hill with chains and tractors, and then they destroyed it, and then they set it on fire and burned it. I said, why would they do something like that? He said, the widow that died there never had any children, and the house had sat vacant for years and years and years. So, just because, and I never would have known that except that I talked to somebody, a senior in that town that I knew, that remembered when they tore the old house down. So I thought, so there was an older house on my property. So that's when I started to do more research. Let's see. So there are different ways to research your property. When you buy your property, number one, you pay a title company to do a title search to make sure there's no liens against your property, nobody owes any money on your property, all that. Well, when they do a title search, they have a list of everybody that ever had any affiliation legally by name with that piece of property. Oh, Patty's in the house. Dirt Clod Metal Detecting. Hi, Patty. Mudswat says, y'all better talk to the old folks. Tell you where all the key places are before they're gone. Well, before you know it, they'll be gone. This is true. So you can contact your title company. You already paid them to do the job. Just tell them you need the discovery notes with all the names of the previous owners so that you have something that you can go to the library and research. You've already paid for it. Just tell them, I want a copy of your discovery. The notes, the research they do to make sure there are no liens on it is called discovery. So it's a matter of a few photocopies. It shouldn't cost you a dime. You already paid them to do the research. And that's one way to get the information. Another way is to go to the county that your property is in, take your property tax parcel number that you pay your property taxes, take that number, go to the county clerk's office and ask, what historical information do you have on my property? I'm trying to research previous owners of my property. Dragon Lady in my house. Hi, Dragon Lady. D-Spud in my house. Here comes everybody. 13 in my house. Thank you so much, everybody. So you can go to the county and go to the county clerk's office. It doesn't cost a dime to ask them and show them your parcel ID number of your property and say, I'm trying to research all the previous owners of my property. What information do you have that I could get, identifying the previous owners and stuff, dating back to into the 1800s. And they'll be more than happy to help you. Team Lynch, Beach Metal Detector is in my house. Hi, Tim and Kathy. So, yeah, everybody wish Cynthia Swearingen a happy birthday. Her birthday was yesterday. JC likes Pam. Welcome. They can tell you where to old swimming holes. Yep. Yes, I agree, Mudswat. We're talking about researching your house, though, right now. So once you get that information, then you can go to your library and go to adult services. Okay. Now, the job of the adult services librarian of your library is to perform a wide variety of assistance. This is a reference area of your library. Okay. They instruct patrons in the use of library resources and basic technology. Okay. And collections contained in your library. If I need something photocopied, I'll just email it to the librarians, the adult services library, because I don't like punching in my ID information on my email address. So I just email it to the librarian. And then when I get there, I say, would you do me a favor? Can you print that out for me? And that, oh, absolutely. And then I just have to pay for the photocopy. So Patty says, we have 2 homesteads on the ranch. I would like to know if they had wife and kids. They are on our 1913 atlas, just the men's names. Okay, so You go to your library and you ask them, where can you find plat maps for that township, the township that your house is in, okay? And there should be plat maps for different years. Like here in Michigan, I think they had 1872, 1896, 1908, 1940, and 1956, I think, are the 5 they have in Michigan. And that. And that's where you can get names too. Now, if you have the man's name, see if your library subscribes to the library edition of Ancestry.com. Okay? If they do, you can search for the name of the person on the plat map and find census records to tell about their family, what their profession was, all this stuff. Okay? Now, if like my library that I used to go to used to get library edition Ancestry, and they don't anymore. But it is available at the state library, and I believe it's available at some libraries that are in bigger towns, because I'm way out in the country. But in the bigger towns like Detroit and that, I have a feeling it's available there. You'll just have to call around. That's the beauty of libraries. You can go in and look at books from any library. If you're not a member of that library, all you have to do is give them picture ID to use a computer, and then they give it back to you once you sign off, you know? Hi, G. Lassie. G. Lassie in my house. So that is a way to find out more information about the people that lived on your property before you got there. Let's see. So the adult services librarian will be able to direct you to find local maps for your area of interest. They can also refer you to excellent research and reference sites to research the history in your area. Now, I'm sure this happens in different towns all over the world, all over the United States. But some of the towns that I research in, some of the libraries that I go to research permissions, because I always, every time I get a new permission, I always try to print out the maps that their property shows up on. So they have, so it tells their story of their land. And they're thrilled to get them. It's a small thing. It cost me 50 cents for a copy. Whoopee. But they're thrilled with it. Make that effort to help bring to life the history of their property. And that will help you get more permissions. Okay? Let's see. I told you what to do going to the county clerk's office with your parcel ID number. And any names that turn up from that search at the county courthouse, you can do genealogical research on that. Okay. So these that I have printed out, that I've used these for years, I need to get these in hard plastic instead of these soft sleeves. These are township plat maps. And I know it will not show close enough, but they show little squares and things, lakes, names, all that, okay? And I carry these around in my car, and I have all of them. I have all of them for the 3 counties that I am near, because I'm like in between 3 different counties. Thank you, G. Lassie. Thank you so much. That will help with the shipping for Mama's Gone Detecting Shards. I'm going to send those out tomorrow. So plat maps are detailed, legally recorded maps that show how land is divided into lots, blocks, and streets. Okay. It could show easements, rights of way, and maybe even utilities. Many list property owners' names. Not all, but most list property owners' names. Okay. Plat maps. Look for county websites that offer plat maps. These maps are titled by the township. So each county is composed of so many different townships. Okay. So, and they date back to the 1800s in many states. Not all, but most. Another type of map that's available that could be helpful for areas that, you know, that don't date back to the 16, 17, 1800s would be fire insurance maps. Okay. David Lee, do you all know if county-owned land is accessible? No, it's different in every state, David Lee. It's different in every state. State of Michigan, you're only allowed to metal detect in certain areas. That is state land. County land, you have to double check the parks and see if they allow it in that particular park. So it's different for every state. Everybody has their own rules. And they consider you an adult. It's up to you to double check. All right. So fire insurance maps are called Sanborn Maps Collection. They can be useful for turn of the century mapping. Okay. By that, I mean early 1900s, like out west. They're available for medium to large towns and cities. Like I'm out in the boonies, they're not available out here. Not at all. I would have to go to Flint or Lapeer or Detroit to observe Sanborn Maps collection. But for small towns, they're not available. Not usually. Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of apps. I'm trying to show people the way to do it that's free, G Lassie. There's some apps that you can buy for mapping. Yes. But my channel is all about treasure hunting on a budget, and I do it the least expensive way possible. So Sanborn Maps collection can be useful for turn of the century mapping for medium to large towns and cities. They are fire insurance maps. They can be used to discover the history of buildings and when they appeared on that parcel of land. They give information such as building details. What was it constructed of? Was the building brick? Was it wood? Street layouts and land use over time, because they'll have different years and it'll show you the progression, how people improved on the land. All right. Let's see. Give street layouts and land use over time, such as showing house, privy, shed, barn, etc. Many blocks were separated by back alleys, some disappearing over the years. They can identify business names and property owners. Okay, so these Sanborn fire insurance maps, they'll have the picture of the building, and then it'll say right on there what the name of the business was or what the name of the property owner was. So another way to learn more about your property is to talk to seniors who have been there their whole lives, lived in your area their whole lives. A friend of my family, 90 plus years old, was the one that gave me the, confirmed the clues that I had found that there had been a previous house on this land before this house I live in now was built. And they confirmed that. Let's see. You can go to your township clerk to determine where the tax books are for your township. Sometimes they keep them at the township offices. Sometimes they give them to the library to hold them in repository at the library. Sometimes the library will send them to a museum if you have a museum in your township. It just, every township's different. So, but you can find what they paid for taxes for the year for your land. Cynthia says, I got 3 1700s properties from a senior gentleman in my town. Very cool, Cynthia. Congratulations. Another way you can research these names, or say it's a business that used to be, like when I first started metal detecting with Rich, he had a permission where there was a German grocer that was on that property, and it was a cornfield now. And we kept digging German pennies all over the place. And unfortunately, I couldn't use the fire insurance maps because it was out in the country. I'm out in the boonies. But I was able to check the Gazetteer for Michigan for several years and looked under that town address and found the name of the person and the business. Now, if it was their home that was listed at a certain address, it would give their name and it would say what their occupation was. So those are gazetteers, and look for state gazetteers, Michigan State Gazetteer, Ohio State Gazetteer, Iowa Gazetteer. And Google will bring up whatever ones are available online. That's a good way to research as well. And it's free. One of my favorite websites to research is Library of Congress, to find newspaper articles. Hi, Johnny Small Pepper. Johnny in my house. Library of Congress, you can research for pictures, for newspaper clippings, books, paintings, everything. And that's free. At least it's still available so far. Hopefully that doesn't get the kibosh to that. Hopefully they don't close that down. But the Library of Congress is one of my favorite websites. And there's just a wealth of information there. Another place to try to get pictures of how your house used to look is search websites that sell antique postcards. And every once in a while you'll get lucky and it'll say like such and such a street view, in such and such a town. And then you look in the picture and there's your house way in the back. That's another good way. Or if you have a multi-generation home next to you, maybe they took pictures that show your house in the background. You never know. Let's see. And then, say somebody say, oh, there was a big family wedding at your house back in the 1890s, blah, 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 this, blah, 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 blah. You take that name and you go to Library of Congress and you search for it in newspapers, because the newspapers were all about the town gossip, let me tell you, back then. So, find a family story of a family wedding held at your home back in the 1800s. Search the bride's name on Library of Congress website under newspapers. You never know what you're going to find. Check with family members who may have photos of your home in the early days. Now, I couldn't do that with mine because the last person to live in it was a widow, never had any children, so there wasn't any family. Let's see. And then research library edition ancestry.com. If your library doesn't have it, research, call around to some of the bigger libraries. Maybe they have it. Another important source, and you can look this up online, are biographical records for your county. Okay, so like biographical records of Genesee County or biographical records of Lapeer County, Michigan, whatever county you're in your state, and you can research that. So, and that's the best way that I know how, but I had done some detecting around my yard. I had just started detecting with Rich like a year before I bought my property, I think. I started detecting around the front yard. I found some modern coins, no biggie. Lots of aluminum siding, pieces, clippings. Like, it was a pain in the butt. There's so much aluminum siding in the ground around the front of my house. And I did some detecting in the backyard, but I was going after coin signals. I was coin shooting. Hi, Ronnie. Ronnie Adventures in my house. Hi, Jim Cloak. I think I said hi to you already, but just in case. And it wasn't until I started cutting through the grass and trying to build a garden bed. My 8x8 garden bed, cut all the grass out of there, and I started pulling stuff out of the dirt to make me think that something was there a long time ago that was older than my house. And I was right. So watch for the clues, you guys. Watch for the clues. And that's my advice on how to research your house to see what was there. One of my permissions, I'm trying to remember what I called it. One of my permissions, like 3 years ago or more, was an old Victorian farm, 1800s farm. But then I was in the side yard. It had a great big side yard with nothing in it. And I was pulling old stuff out of that side yard, and come to find out, when I did more research on the family history, when they came to Michigan, they built a log cabin type, shed type building of logs first to live in, to get through the winter, and then the next spring they started building the house that now stands. So you don't know until you look. You don't know till you research. That's the difference between, I don't even know how to say this. I don't want to offend anybody, but you got the people willing to work. It's not so much what you find, it's the story you find. The story, the history is what is valuable. I don't care how many things I dig up, as long as I learn the history. That's what's most valuable to me. I had somebody make a comment to me because my Victorian gem in the countryside permission. The only old coin I pulled out was an Indian head penny, a 1905 Indian head penny. It was a baby. That was the year her dad bought that farm. I gave it to her. I don't have any problem giving it to her. But I got chewed out by a so-called friend because I gave away one of my finds to a property owner. That's the least I can do. Oh, that Indian was worth money. That's not why I'm out there detecting. And that's not why you should be out there detecting either. It's about saving the history, learning the story, learning about those who paved the way for us to be here. That's what's important. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. This went way faster than I thought it was going to. But I've got some goodies. You guys all saw the pictures of what I'm giving away, right? All right, let me get up and move. Oh, we got 4 boxes here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, Cynthia, you ready with the answers? Okay, I sent Cynthia the answers. We're going to do some testing. Oh, shoot. What did I do with that? I got to go and get my list. I'll be right back. Okay. So I've got 4 questions, and whoever answers the question right, you can only win once a night, though. Okay? You can only win once a night. So once you win, do not put an answer in the live chat. Okay? So we got 15 in the house right now. Pretty cool. Thank you so much. And if you're new to Digging with Deej, please subscribe if you like my content, and hit the thumbs up, ring the bell, and you'll be notified when I put more content up. We're getting into digging season, so I'm not going to be live streaming a whole lot during digging season. Normally I do it more in the winter time, but last winter was kind of rough on my family health-wise. Hi, Ringo and Zara in my house. Hi, Ringo. So I've got 4 items. I showed you guys pictures that I'm giving away. 3 are tokens, and 1 is a silver certificate dollar. So here's the first question. At West Point, the class of 1841 produced how many Civil War generals? Just put a number in the chat. How many Civil War generals were produced the class of 1841 at West Point? Keep guessing. Just a random guess. I don't see it yet. Ooh, there's 1. There's 2 that were close. Ooh, getting closer. Not yet. You see it yet, Cynthia? I don't see it yet. Ooh, so close. Oh, I think I just saw it, Cynthia. Did you see it? Cynthia says stop. Mud SWAT 1, okay? Mud SWAT, choose a number between 1 and 4, please. Mudswat, shut the front door. Mudswat, number 2. Okay, here's number 2. Let's see what you won. Ah, look at that. Silver certificate. Congratulations. See that? It's a silver certificate, Mudswat. Congratulations. Woohoo. Okay. Here's question number 2. Okay, Mudswat, you cannot guess because you've already won. Okay? Congratulations. Okay. Let's see. Mudswat, let me put my mailing address. Let me find my banners. Okay, Mudswat, you need to send me your mailing address at that email down below my face here. Send me your name and address, please. I'll leave that up. Okay. Okay. And if you don't hear from me, keep emailing me. Because for some reason they're showing up in trash and Lord knows what else. So, okay, here's the next question. This is between 1 and 100%. So you got to do a number with a percent sign next to it, okay? How many percent of all wounds received, I'm going to read this, in the Civil War were produced by foot soldiers using single-shot muzzle-loading rifles? No, Mudswat, because then I'm not going to be able to choose you, and then somebody else can't win it. So just follow along, okay? How many percent of all wounds received in the Civil War were produced by foot soldiers using single-shot muzzle-loading rifles? Cynthia, do I see that? Cynthia says stop. Who got it, Cynthia? D-Spud. What is that? That looks like a phone number, D-Spud. Patty wins. Oh, my. Dirt clod metal detecting one. Okay, Patty. We've got 3 boxes left. We got 1, 3, and 4. Which box, Patty? D-Spud. Oh, no, my bad. Okay, Patty wants number 1. Box number 1. Here we go. Okay, what do we got? Okay. Patty won the roller skating token. It's got a roller skate on it. Very cool, Patty. Congratulations. Okay, we got 2 boxes left, 3 and 4. Okay, next question. Everybody ready? Congratulations, winners. I know. I used to love roller skating, and then we were roller skating to the music. You wouldn't catch me in roller skates now. I don't need to be falling and breaking something. Okay. Okay, these are Civil War questions, believe it or not. Okay, I told this one to Cynthia, and I could see the wheels turning. What animal did Jefferson Davis try to introduce into the military? Yeah, you heard me right. What animal did Jefferson Davis try to introduce into the military? No, Muswat, don't give a hint. No, no. Okay, to give you an idea, they were having trouble having enough horses for cavalry. I don't see it. Giraffe. No, no. Ah, Cynthia, did you see it? Come on. There. Okay, Cynthia, who won? Team Lynch won. Where's Team Lynch? Camel. Very cool. Tim and Kathy, what number do you want? You want number 3 or number 4? You were close. You had it too, Ringo. Sorry, they just got it before you did. Roller bone breaking. Yeah, Paula. Yes, it would. Hi, Paula. Okay, number 3. Oh, you got the golden one. Look at this. You got the Bridge Bowl Dom Fazio token. And it's gold looking. It's gold tone color. Huge, huge token. Congratulations, you guys. I'm trying to, there. It's got a person's face on it even. Congratulations, Tim and Kathy. Very cool. Okay. Last giveaway. Okay. What southern state was the only southern state to not have troops fighting for both the North and the South? Okay. What southern state was the only southern state to not have troops fighting for both the North and the South? If you haven't won, put a guess in. You want me to read it again? Okay. What southern state was the only southern state to not have troops fighting for both the North and the South in the Civil War? I don't see it yet. No, still not seeing it yet. I think I just saw it. Cynthia says stop. Everybody stop. Paula says I am not smarter than a 5th grader anymore. Oh my. Ringo wins. Ringo, you get box number 4. The answer was South Carolina. They were the only southern state that did not have troops fighting for both the North and the South. And this is the 100-year anniversary of Sears Roebuck token from 1886 to 1986. It's hard to see it. So it's the new century is what they called it. The new century. It was their 100-year anniversary. Congratulations. So everybody that won, please email me at the email address right there. Your full name, your address, and your address. And I will mail these out to you. Now, they are going to come in a photo mailer. So it's like it's a hard cardboard envelope so that things don't disappear. I just bought a whole thing, 100 of them, for token giveaways this year. So congratulations to all the winners. Thank you everybody for coming to my live stream. I appreciate it. Like I said, during digging season, it won't be every Tuesday. If it's bad weather here, I might live stream more. I'm hoping, cross your fingers. Last weekend, somebody posted on my bottle digging club an invite to go to a bottle dump. Well, my doctor, I asked her because I saw this a couple days before. She goes, "No, you cannot dig." I said, "Can I go and just walk around and film?" She said, "Yes, you can go and walk around and film." So that's what I did. I filmed the guys digging and that. What a fantastic dump, you guys. I could not believe the treasures just laying on top of the ground. It was amazing. It was amazing. But what's even better about this is, Alan said we're all welcome to come back. He wants, to host another one. I get 5 bars of signal on my phone, which means I could live stream from the dump. Yeah. That sounds like a plan. I just can't wait to actually dig. For those of you that weren't aware, I had surgery last Friday. So, and I'm not allowed to dig for a week. So, but I just thought I would do a live stream and share how I found out information about my house. The longer I dug in that backyard, all the different machines I used, every time I used a new machine, it was like the yard was new again. Hi, Northern Found in my house. Lucky James Eller in my house. Wow. Paula says, I understand not being able to participate after surgery. Yep. I still had fun. It was a beautiful day, you guys. It was gorgeous. Alan was such a fantastic host. To take a chance and put an invitation out to complete strangers, that's almost unheard of nowadays, you guys. I was very grateful. And think I made a good friend. So I can't wait to go back. I was hoping maybe next Tuesday we could live stream from there, but it's it's a week away. The weather could be wrong, but it's saying chance of rain. Well, if it's chance of rain, then we can't do that. So, but I can't wait for you guys to see the videos. I mean, tell you how exciting it was. I came home and edited 2 videos in less than 24 hours. I was worried I didn't have enough enough footage for a video. I had enough for 2 videos. So we got a part 1 and a part 2. So, but some cool stuff. And we found all the guys chipped in. We all found cool shards for Mama's gun creating, Brenda, to make jewelry and stuff out of. It was some beautiful china there. Wow. Beautiful glass. Tons of purple glass just laying on top of the ground everywhere. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that there was a dump that still existed, that still had treasure just laying on top of the ground. I mean, I kept this bottle. It's damaged on the top, but I kept it because it says the Williams Brothers Food Products, Detroit, Michigan. And it's an embossed ketchup. How often do you find embossed ketchups, you guys? Not often. I mean, if there's embossing, it's normally on the bottom. But this is like a 1900 bottle, you know? So, amazing stuff. Amazing things there. I can't wait to dig. I mean, I think he said it was 1.7 acres. It's nothing but dig pits everywhere. I mean, there's holes everywhere, all over the place. It's like, wow. Yeah. Well, you know what was crazy was there were TV tubes and light bulbs, really old light bulbs that were coming out whole. But then there'd be a whole pitcher, water pitcher, busted all to heck, you know. Isn't that amazing how a light bulb can come out perfect? So, okay, Bonnie, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it. I know, I can't wait for you guys to see the videos too. This Friday is Dragon Lady and I are doing a video together. Dragon Lady, who was in the chat. I brought over my purchases from the bottle show, the Flint Bottle Show, and she and I let her open them up, the packages, and then we discuss what I bought and what she thinks of it. So you get to see my bottle haul. Then the video after that is a fun video. That's so this Friday is the bottle haul video. Next Friday is my hunt with Anthony at a park where there used to be an old home site. And Anthony gets a 30-second curse. And it's pretty cool what he digs up. And I find something pretty cool too. So that's that. And then the third, not this Friday, not next Friday, the third Friday will be the first part 1 of the bottle digging with Alan. And for those of you who are not familiar with Alan, let me see if I can bring this up. I can't believe, with the kind of permissions and the kind of bottles this guy finds, we need to encourage him to do more videos. He has a GoPro. He's gotten a GoPro. He just needs the encouragement. And he's such a generous person to share his digging sites with complete strangers. I mean, let's see. It's under posts. So please go to Dank's Wild Adventures. D as in dog, A, N as in Nancy, K as in kangaroo, S. Dank's Wild Adventures. I think he's got 60 subscribers now. He only had like 54 subscribers last Saturday. Let's try to get him up to 100. Share him out, you guys. He's only got 3 videos, but the one video that I shared in my posts on my community page, he pulled 90 bottles out of the river. 90 bottles out of the river. He filled his kayak with bottles, you guys. So please subscribe to him. And that, because he told me I could bring D Spud and his son to dig the next time that he has a dig. And he told me I could bring Anthony and that. So very generous sharing his sites. How did I get water on there? I don't know where that came from. My bottle of water is not. Maybe it's coffee. Paula says, we live here in Virginia. We have a lot of historic places here. There are barrel runs where they would roll the merchandise in wooden barrels up the river wharfs. Very cool. David Frazier. Hi. Okay, let me put the name of his channel in here. KS. Okay. Now the only word in the 3 words of his YouTube channel is just the first word is capitalized. The rest of the words are not capitalized. It's Dank's Wild Adventures. So, that video was from 3 years ago and he's got 321 views. But I mean, who goes on a river hunt and comes back with 90 plus bottles? That's almost unheard of. So, David says, I'm going detecting at Ocean City, Maryland, Easter weekend. Woo! Very cool, David. Good luck. So please check out, his name is Allen, 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 at Dank's Wild Adventures, and give him a subscribe because you're going to be seeing more of him. When I do bottle digging, I'll probably be bottle digging with him. So, him and Anthony. So, and then possibly doing a group dig at my 1880 permission with my club later on this year when it gets warmer at night. So, thank you, everybody. Please share out Alan's channel. If you have a community page, please share him out. And let's get him up to 100 subscribers. Give him the encouragement to do more videos. He has a friend that edits the videos for him and that. But he said, yeah, if you can get me 100 subscribers, you better believe it, I will make more videos. So thank you everyone for coming. Congratulations to all the winners. And I will see you sometime in the future. Thanks for watching. Good night, all.